It's your man, PooNanners, your Texas caster and hype master.
And I'm Hermit, your one-stop headshot shop, and welcome back to SpawnPoint Week 5.
Man, we missed all you last week. Dragon Con was a blast. Got to go with Ashley Wright. We brought Pesky Cashew out there as well. Ashley got herself a cameraman, so we're gonna have more on that. Mike might cover it on the V Rhythm show, but in either case, we got ourselves a lot of great footage of people playing Beat Saber, bringing it out to the con convention floor so people could play. It was exciting and fun stuff. Have more of it on Twitter and more of it for you guys later. But first, we have a mixed bag of announcements to go through. So grab something to sip on and pull up for another great episode.
All right.
I'll sip on
I know
this.
we've been talking about them a lot lately, basically every single episode so far, but Final Assault is in the news because their finals just finished last week.
Oh, yes, they did indeed. Let's take a look. The final matches, which happened on August 25th, had everyone on the edge of their seats. The bronze match was between Not Sporks and Naoko of Onward fame, which Sporks ended up taking it 2-1. I mean, split games, it can be very hard to stay on top, but man, that is a real close scoreline. The final match was a real nail-biter, and it lasted a little bit over an hour. The developers, when they first told me about this game 2 years ago, told me that sometimes that can happen when you're at the top of your play, including the guys who made the game. We said there's a lot here for us to see, but it's really impressive how long these players can keep their focus in VR.
I even tuned in for a little while. I don't play a lot of Final Assault, but watching the battles unfold is always extremely impressive. I hope that the competitors are already practicing for Season 2, which is going to be around the corner any day now. As usual, thank you to all our competitors for putting on an excellent show. We congratulate the Final Assault Grand Champion, Beastrick, on winning the championship and bringing it all for his home country of Finland.
Yeah, Finland indeed.
Cannot wait to see how everybody does next season. Everyone make sure to keep an eye on that VRML page and Twitter for the newest announcements to see when everything starts rolling through.
Oh, indeed, man. It was really great to see those guys come down. It's too bad, sadly, could not get a repeat of his skills, but sadly, Bradley did not perform. But moving on to another VRML game that just recently got added, new to the competitive scene from VRL, and not being supported, I think, right now, but with the help of Pesky Cashew, the necromancer of competitive communities, the game is now in VRML. Dawkin originally made the announcement to the moderators, and they've said that they've accepted Space Junkies. Space Junkies, a longtime favorite of ours, especially anybody who grew up playing Quake and wished that they could play Quake Tournament in VR. And we added our Vrespawn team, actually, is World Championship team.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love how crazy and fast Junkies can get sometimes, and even my original debut in VR was in the emergency qualifiers for VRL Space Junkies. Even though Ubisoft pulled support, which was just a crying frickin' shame, we fans are doing our damnedest to keep the game alive. Pesky definitely came out and did the work of the devil to bring Space Junkies back, and hopefully we can keep this competitive scene alive as much as we can. So make sure you get on this competitive scene fast. There's already 5 teams registered, including my own, Team Space Cats. So we'll be waiting for you around every corner with a railgun. Y'all better duck.
Yeah, man. Pesky needs to be out there with like a Patreon saying, if I get this much amounts of money, I will necromancy this game over here.
I will fix this game.
I will personally build your VR esports community.
I bet he's so good he could fix Titanfall 2.
Yes, well, he did such a good job with Archangel. I think he could.
Right?
We're gonna, Respawn will probably end up being at our after party at OC6, and we'll have to see. They will be at the convention at the very least.
The big crossover, V Respawn and normal Respawn.
Yes. These last few weeks have been really exciting with announcements. First, we had big stuff from last episode getting announced and revealed, like Westworld Experience. But this week, we have a really exciting indie release that people have been waiting for quite a long time.
That's right. It has been a long time. There has been GIFs and videos of this game's development from before I even got a headset. We are, of course, talking about Lo-Fi, the in-development open-world cyberpunk experience being made by the creator of Technolust, Blair Renault. His Kickstarter began at the beginning of the week and was funded in just 4 days.
Yeah, man. We love the look of this kind of stuff. This reminds us of way back in the day with Blade Runner. And, of course, not so back in the day, the sequel. But we also liked Technolust when it came out, and we wanted more, and apparently he's giving us more. He's been working on this for quite some time, and it seems to have been extremely worth the wait so far. Iris VR consists of Renault himself, along with key talents from titles such as Superhot and The Wildlands. With a star-studded crew like that, a strong sense of cyberpunk, a really just feeling for how art presents itself in VR, I honestly don't know what this title could get wrong.
I honestly, I'm so disturbingly hyped for this game. I'm a big Neuromancer fan. I love William Gibson. Anything that is hard chrome, mohawks, and harsh corporations is right up my alley. This is just bleeding every possible, like, this is a good game feeling for me. It's so good.
Yeah, well, we see these angles, and you get a couple of the ones in the headset. I know we're not going to get flybys while we're in the headset, but it'd be really nice to see where this ends up going. You can check out the full trailer. I believe we may have a link in the description, but man, if you haven't seen it already, it's going around Twitter pretty hard.
Oh yeah, no, see it everywhere. But of course, this week I got the opportunity to interview Rue, the CTO of everyone's favorite streaming buddy, LIV. If you don't already know, LIV is that super useful software that lets everyone record mixed reality videos, like your favorite Beat Saber videos with Rage Sack and people like that, or even Blade and Sorcery content like I sometimes make. We had a great interview, of course. We talked about all sorts of great stuff. Wait,
hold on. Before you head over to that, though, Blade and Sorcery, did you see the Star Wars mod for it?
Oh yeah, no, Outer Rim, it's sick. You just shank.
I saw that
with a lightsaber.
Yeah, I saw like a video of that, and I was like, Rage Sack just fainted, and I messaged him, was like, hey man, did you see the Star Wars mods? And he's like, oh, I've been doing those for ages. I'm done with those.
He's on it.
Yeah, oh, he's on everything. Every time I run something by him, he's like, yeah, that was hit me up like last week, and I was like, man, I just need to be on your phone.
Edge. Of course, we had a great interview. We talked about esports and LIV and how important it is to the VR ecosystem, as well as his tips for future VR developers. So let's get a quick taste of that interview.
Yeah, totally. The more people use it, the better.
100%. I have a personal dream of having an esports tournament run using LIV.
Oh my god! But what game? What game do you have in mind? Because I'm interested on that one.
That's the problem.
Shooters, Beat Saber, various like sword fighting combat games. Whatever.
I mean, I personally would love for it to be Beat Saber.
Yeah.
I think that Beat Saber could absolutely be a spectator sport, but it's something that won't be. I feel like there's like two different kinds of Beat Saber you could record like that. You can take pro level play, which there are already tournaments for, and those are already well casted and well produced. Or you could do a tournament that is more about style with a panel of judges.
Yeah,
that's something that I would like to see,
I'd like
and
to
haven't
see both
seen
of
so
those.
far.
I've always thought that you could have a Beat Saber competition with LIV in a really unique way. If you since the camera is decoupled from the user anyways, then you could kind of put two feeds on each other so it's horizontal and you see the blocks coming out from the same little wall, and then you see them just taking it on like that, two users on either end. And it would be a really cool like split screen Guitar Hero kind of concept. You can see the blocks going out. That'd be a really cool like panning
like
shot.
Visual for it. Would you have it like so it's over the shoulder but like opposite shoulders on each side, so they're like diagonally coming out of the
so
split, if
you
know what I mean?
Get like that split vision of like, oh, he hit this one but he didn't hit this one, and so they're not quite matched up. I think that'd be a really good way to visualize that, and would just generally be really cool, because like I see all of Rage Sack's videos with his crazy camera angles.
You do. Well, that's all we have of that interview, but the full one, right, will be in the description down below. Once again, that was Rue, the CTO of LIV. LIV is it's free on Steam at least. And their
free
Discord,
like free beer, not free like freedom.
Yeah. And you can use it for all your mixed reality needs. It's fairly easy to use, and their Discord is open, so you can get on there and ask anybody questions. People jump on it. Usually Giant Socks, that guy knows everything. Just about every mixed reality commercial you've seen, they flew Giant Socks out to make sure that it worked. Rue is always in there helping people out, and as so is the rest of his excellent team. So even if you don't get Giant Socks, you'll get somebody. We can't wait to see what LIV comes up with next. Right now, they're doing a lot of good jobs with the really popular VR games, and there's more games that we keep begging for people to put mixed reality, and it kind of doesn't work like an Echo Arena. Like, I mean, it wouldn't work in that particular situation. But designing for it in mind is something that we really like to see, and one of our secret favorites, because the game isn't out yet and there's NDAs and everything around it, is Population 1. We can say that we love it. And that's one of those games you're just like, I would really like to see an esports tournament in Population 1 where they supported mixed reality effectively. Be great.
No, it'd be super, super awesome.
Yeah.
I think that leaning towards objectives like that and how we can get game developers like having thoughts about how the spectator experience for these VR games can be changes everything.
Oh man. Well, this early problem that we had with VR was how do we present it? You know, how do we show this off to people?
Just give it to people.
Especially in, well, you know, let them figure it out. Especially in early VR esports days, was just like how do we present it, how we spectate it, how are we going to show people what they're doing? Because people came from the mentality of original esports. They're like, well, you know, they show the guys with the keyboard and mouse, like no one cares. So this is more exciting than that. And it's because that's old. When you got a new thing, you've got to convince people to stop watching the old thing, you know, because they're not really going to watch both. Not always.
They don't have the time for both.
Some people do and some people don't, but it just is what it is. Like, you know, there's some people that watch college football and pro football, but most people pick one or the other.
Those guys really like football.
Yeah,
of course,
that's true. It is Texas.
I'm excited to
see
see more artistic experiences come out of VR. And of course, there's so many stories to be told and so many worlds out there to think of that it always just blows my mind to think of the future. Like this week, I wanted to feature an artist that I actually got turned on to by a previous artist that we featured, the first artist we featured, named A Giant Swan. Thank you, of course, so much, Swan. All of your suggestions have been amazing. He goes by the name of VR Artisan on Instagram, but his real name, I think, is Gastón Carballal. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that.
We're trying.
He works out of Buenos Aires, and, well, his work really speaks for itself. Let's get a quick look at what that is.
Let's see this work of beauty.
Oh, it's gorgeous. He seems like he makes his pieces through these really cool, like, geometric patterns. Some of them are super realistic, but of course the rest of them are extremely stylized. Like this one, this weird plasticky form he does is, I think, what's most unique about him. It's done through this thing called the Octane renderer, which is the
I'm familiar with Octane.
Yeah, definitely. And so he does a lot of unique things with that render, and I really wish that he would include the files for his work along with these posts, because I would love to see these really unique wiry pieces just up in my eyes, because, you know, all those little subtleties, all the intricacies of the wires, I guess you should call them, they're really amazing.
You know, it's those 3D sketch work. I mean, it's almost like what pencil lines would look like if you had an extruder taped to your hand.
Of course.
Right?
But of course, make sure to hit up Gastón on his Instagram or his Behance account to see some of his awesome creations and renders. Yeah, right, Behance.
There's so many new things coming up.
I was like, is it going to be a Sketchfab account? No, it's a Behance account. But there's so much more than we could show you today, and all of it is so worth looking at. All of his profiles are, of course, linked down below.
Yeah, so since we didn't have an episode last week, we have a little bit of a small news. Small news is stacked up a bit. We've got to get through it very quickly. There have been so many exciting things happening in VR as everything picks up steam, so sometimes it's hard for us to keep a grasp on the news. So let's just open the floodgates.
Of course, that's why we're here, to lay it out for everybody. To start, The Wolves on the Walls, which is a widely acclaimed short VR experience, which is based off of the children's book by Neil Gaiman, and that was illustrated by Dave McKean. That experience won the first Emmy ever awarded to a virtual reality experience. This is, of course, a massive step forward for VR, and I'm super happy to see that this work specifically gets the attention it deserves, because I love Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
He's been in the public eye a lot recently because of his show that he made. I suddenly
Good Omens?
forget what it's called. Yeah, Good Omens.
Yeah, that was his adaptation of the novel.
Recently because of that. It's super awesome.
Well, Neil Gaiman also wrote he's been a prolific writer for a while and wrote a lot of episodes of like Doctor Who back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So as a longtime sci-fi nerd, like I've been following this guy for a long time. So when I saw that Neil Gaiman won the first Emmy ever in virtual reality, I was like, well, I mean, his name was attached to it. Like they're going to see that name, jump on it. All right. So also though, Acron, Attack of the Squirrels, has been launched by Resolution Studios. The same studio that made the Angry Birds VR games. This game is particularly unique because it has one player in VR and up to 4 players on mobile devices. I do love that asynchronous play. With the VR,
it's always really fun.
Yeah, the VR player is a massive evil tree that is protecting its golden acorns, not like Acron is the title, from the 4 squirrels that have a different set of powers for each squirrel. The squirrels must work together to get the acorns from the tree's grasp and make it to the outside level. Sounds like a great way to keep your kids busy. The game shows heart-pounding cartoon action and looks like a ton of fun. It only costs $20 on Steam right now.
Definitely. It looks like a lot of fun. I love those asynchronous player games. It sort of reminds me of Nemesis, if anyone ever played that demo. It's a game where you play as a very large demon facing down a group of ninjas. And it's a very similar concept, but it looks extremely different, plays very differently. But for those of you out there who love Mario Kart, other games like that, Ivanovic Games are currently running the early access version of their new VR kart game called Touring Karts, which should be releasing sometime this next fall, 3 or 4 months or so. Touring Karts is a wacky kart racer with up to 45 power-ups through their interesting and unique power-up combination system, where you can take these power-ups and like literally just smash them together on your kart.
Crafting while you're racing. That's what I'm talking about.
Crafting while racing. This is
brilliant move.
Racing. There are also several different unique driving options. Like you can kart in the kart itself, or in third person in VR, or even from there you can be first person at an arcade machine, so that there's absolutely no nausea at all. It's crazy. And so there's all sorts of crazy tracks and cars. There's all sorts of experience there. There's plenty of people who have a copy, but it's one of those things.
I want a copy. This is definitely a game we'll be keeping up with, as it has a lot of competitive potential. I mean, a lot of party potential as well. And from the footage, it looks like it's going to be ridiculously fun to play. I can't wait until we can finally release it for the public. But until then, people just have to stay tuned into streams, which those streamers are going to start picking up followers. I know you got a key, and there are several other streamers out there that have made videos, but the footage is pretty rare right now.
Yeah, no, it's hard to grab footage of it. Even their YouTube channel only has 3 or 4 videos on it, but all those videos look ridiculously fun. On a slightly different note, a little more serious, Until You Fall is released on August the 27th and has been a critical success amongst all VR publications. This gorgeous roguelike. Yeah, everyone loves it. It's so beautiful. It's this gorgeous roguelike sword fighting game with a fun and reasonably deep character leveling system, and the combat is almost rhythmic. It feels like it's almost like a rhythm game in a combat game, just smashed together, But most players barely even notice how beautiful the game is because they're so busy slashing at all their enemies. It's an experience. It's hard to describe otherwise. Make sure to pick up that title on the Steam store for $20 USD. Get slashing and hacking.
Yeah, man. To finish things off, a PSVR title will be coming to Steam Store for all of us to enjoy. It's Grand Theft Auto. I'm just kidding. It is Falcon Age by Outer Loop Games. It is a game that is equal parts adorable and badass. You play as a falconer who controls and takes care of a young bird until adulthood. It's everyone's dream. So many Reddit memes 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But you play as a falconer, like I said, you control this bird from childhood to adulthood. You can dress him, you can feed him, you can teach him falcon tricks. Then you and your bird fight against a robotic colonizer menace to protect the homeland. Pick this one up on the Epic Games Store. Don't at me. It costs $20, like a lot of other games tonight.
Yeah, no, it seems like the VR price point recently has been $20 for all experiences that aren't like a major release. And I feel like that's pretty solid. $20 is, like a nice dinner or a movie ticket.
Yeah. It's the games that go over that have not done so well.
Game. Right? Makes sense to me. But,
Yeah, that's all we've got for you guys this week. Thank you for joining us for this week's SpawnPoint. Make sure to catch us every single Saturday for more VR news and content.
Make sure to visit us at vrespawn.com for the latest and greatest coverage on all these events, as well as articles about all aspects of the virtual world. Follow VRespawn on Twitter, as well as follow PooNanners and I for updates on everything. Yeah, this episode, of course, is brought to you by all us volunteers here at VRespawn. And if you have any clips you want to throw into this thing, or let's cover something that you've done, we'd be glad to have you. Again, I am PooNanners. And I'm Hermit, signing off on another virtually perfect day. Good luck out there, everyone, and make sure to clean your lenses. Have a great one.